Roof, 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 roof. I apologize, but I doubly apologize because this Mr. Legacy Jones, what's up, brother? I know you want to tune in and get a piece of this action. I got you. I'm gonna hunt you down. Actually, send me a request or something like that. Smokey the Ghost. All right, you're a virologist and a rapper. Finna bring you in, homie. But I just wanted to say, shout out to the big brother. But I'm double apologize because as I was going, when that happens, I have to close Instagram and then open it back up. I deleted that video. It gives you the option to delete or save. In my haste to kind of close it out and get back to this, I fucking deleted the video. So I apologize that this video, me talking shit about Dr. Sebi, joking, is deleted, and that brother's conversation is deleted. So that's kind of lost to history right now. Hopefully I'll be able to maybe summarize some of the points, or if you've been listening to some, or maybe some of y'all was recording it as it was going, but I apologize for that. So I'm sorry. Smokey the Ghost and a rapper. I want to see this.
Yo, bro.
What's up, brother?
What's up, Lupe?
How are you?
First of all, I'm a big fan. I'm from India and I'm a rapper myself, so it's crazy.
What part of India are you from?
I'm from Bangalore, which is down south. Yeah. And I grew up listening to The Cool and a bunch of other stuff. I'm also a virologist. I'm also a biologist.
A virologist or a biologist?
Mostly a virologist, but I worked in different things. Like I was mostly into DNA and the translation of DNA into proteins. So like translation. Yeah, like some weird shit. I got a few papers published and shit. And when this whole COVID shit happened, I felt like my whole life was suddenly relevant because like shit, I could understand too many things that were happening around. And I was like, holy shit, nobody really gets what a virus is. And when I saw your live and what you were talking with this guy about, I was like, shit, like people have no idea about exactly what a virus is. It's not really a living thing. Like it's more like a pack of proteins and genetic material, and it sort of sends a certain amount of information and starts manufacturing itself in your body. So it's kind of like a hack, right? Like it's not really it's a predator and we are the prey. Like that's the way I like to look at it.
So give us, because you are a biologist and a rapper, so you double qualified. Give us what you think would be the top three, and if I've said anything that was incorrect thus far, please correct me as well, because I'm here to learn as much as I am here to talk my shit. What do you think are some of the most profound or the most public kind of misconceptions about viruses in general? You just mentioned that it isn't. That was the conversation whether it's a living thing or not. What does it actually do? What are some of those things that the general public just does not know about viruses that you've kind of seen?
In general, there are different kinds of viruses. Like we have retroviruses, which are basically RNA viruses, and we have DNA viruses. So the genetic material drastically differs. And in case of specifically the coronavirus, a lot of people don't know that there can be different strains of the virus, which means that the active sites which are there in these viruses can vary, which means that the vaccines for each of these viruses is specific. So you could really make a vaccine for this virus, but it could not be for this particular virus, given the fact that this particular virus has existed for a long time in different species, especially like in case of the veterinarian cases, the coronavirus especially and SARS are very closely related. So it's just the shape of the virus, and it could be for a long time. Another thing is infection of the virus does not really is something that can only be avoided by some kind of not having a physical contact, or like some kind of detergents like soap, where you can wash your hands and break down the protein chain and stuff like that. You cannot really cure it by like some kind of diet or something like that. You can't really do that shit. I would really laugh my ass off
Wait.
if I
So
heard.
hold on. So say this again, right? So back it up. Can a virus be killed? Yes or no?
No, it can be deactivated.
Okay. And deactivation is different from death, right?
Definitely.
Okay. How do you deactivate a virus?
One method would be to disintegrate its parts. Like, the virus has a body. Like, so the basic structure is it has a DNA in the center and it has the protein around it. So you can either disintegrate the protein and just leave the genetic material in the open, and the body's, immunity will just like eat it up, the different cells of immunity. Or you could like develop an antibody which is specific to the virus, and so that the antibody can point out to your immune system and say, hey, come and eat this guy. So you could do one of those two things, or, like some kind of physical methods, stuff like that. But I don't think any other thing like pH, like I think one of the cases of that doctor, I looked it up just now, and he talks about pH. But I don't think pH is one of the things that can destroy a virus. It's total bullshit.
So you're saying that, so Dr. Sebi is heavy on, and when you mentioned you looked up the guy, Dr. Sebi specifically, right? Dr. Sebi has a big thing about pH balance is very important.
Yeah.
In terms of like destroying certain things in the body. So you're saying that pH balances, or the level of pH, whatever that is, right, really doesn't have an effect or a strong enough effect to deactivate, as you say, a virus.
It's not strong evidence, bro, because that shit changes all the time. When you eat like fruit, like a citric fruit, your acidity goes up. You know what I mean? Like, that things changes all the time. It doesn't mean that it can destroy a virus. That is a far-fetched claim, because the virus is too stable. It's too smart. I don't, even if you look at the phylogenetic tree, the virus is in a separate place. Like, it isn't where the plants are and where the animals are. Like, the viruses are, in my view, are just there to transfer genetic material from different places to you, and that generally makes us better human beings, because like you essentially keep adding to the genetic code of the human being. The virus essentially takes its genetic material and pushes it into your genetic code and uses your body cells to produce more of itself, and it bursts through the cell and just breaks out into the body. So essentially the virus is just something that is using you as a host to develop itself and give you some kind of immunity.
How does someone become immune to a virus, right? So I'm talking about peddling vitamin D3, vitamin C, whatever it is, right? What does that process actually mean practically in the body? Like, what is immunity?
Antibodies. Again, immunity is basically when there are memory cells which remember that, like for example, chickenpox, like they remember that your body got chickenpox. So there is these are very specific type of interactions. And when a foreign object enters your body, there are certain receptors on the body, on the body of the virus. So the antibody recognizes, there is a specific antibody made by your body for that particular virus. And that antibody recognizes that receptor on the virus, and it's highly specific. So it marks the virus. It only marks, again, it does not kill. There are other cells like the macrophages, the basophils, the eosinophils, which attack the different parts of the virus and kill them. Which is why I really wanted to make a Corona song. Although there's a lot of Corona shit going on, I wanted to make like a really I wanted to do that song with you, because I know you write a lot of your bars because of that stuff, because nobody's really making the actual song here. Like, what people don't even know what the test is for these coronaviruses,
right?
Which is really sad,
So again, to the point with the tests, right? When people say they're going to get tested for coronavirus, what does that mean from a virological epidemiological side?
Two things. One, you have the antibody strip, which is basically an IgA antibodies. These antibodies are basically made against the coronavirus. And when you dip it in the blood, you get like a particular color change or like a particular, some kind of like an indicator, which will show that you have or do not have the virus. This is a preliminary test. The other test is a confirmatory test, because you can never have one test and say, yo, this is what you have. You know what I mean? Like you can never do that. So you need to have a second test, which is basically PCR, which is polymerase chain reaction, which I love. Like it's one of my most favorite things. It's basically two primers, and they like measure a specific area in the genetic code of the virus. And this is very costly. Most people in my country, India, aren't really testing everybody with this particular test. Nobody's confirming this because it takes expertise. Not everybody is equipped with the right equipment or the right knowledge to carry out these tests. It's a few amount of people because nobody funded fundamental science. Everybody funded technological science, which is nowhere today. And we have the coronavirus, which is making fundamental science the biggest need today. And we have a very few of these people. And these people are essentially only measuring a certain amount. The workload on these people is very high now. So that's why the testing is really specific. And we need to have both these tests. We need to have the antibody test as well as the PCR test to say that somebody has or does not have the coronavirus. The biggest example of this is, I think, 50 people who the virus re-emerged, which is really crazy because I don't know where it was from. I read it somewhere today. It re-emerged because probably they didn't test it right. You know, when these people were like sort of going out, getting discharged from the hospital or something like that.
And they still had coronavirus in them, even though their symptoms may have went away, and because they might not have necessarily had. And how accurate are the tests? So you said the PCR test as well as the primary test that you mentioned, the antibody test.
The antibody test is, I think, above a 90%, but there is a 10% error rate. There's a lot of error rate, honestly, beyond 10%, because it depends on how you dip it, what you do. It's prone to some kind of human error. The PCR test, however, is about 99% accurate. There is a 0.1% chance that it won't work because you didn't set your controls right or some shit like that. But the PCR test is generally very accurate, and it's a Nobel Prize winning test. Like it's been there forever. Like, you know, like, so it's definitely something that people should know about. Especially in the US, I think there were a lot of bento. It was called the bento box or something like that, where it would be given to the general public to like test. So people were doing these PCR tests, but they don't know that the PCR test was used to like diagnose the coronavirus as well. So many people don't know this shit.
Oh wow!
So it's a very I know that like when I was in my 12th or 13th, but like 12th grade and beyond that, I was like sort of learning about PCR and I was learning all of these techniques. It's not quite different, but it's crazy that people don't have the information that this is this test and this is what this test does, you know? So that is sort of where the loophole lies, like in this whole thing. Like,
I'm gonna give you some advice about the songs, right?
Okay.
But we'll do that. I'm gonna follow you, and then we'll connect on something else, right? But while you're here, because I really want to give you some advice into how to build those songs, right, and create those songs, right?
That'll be awesome.
What can people do? What do you think is the best, like, behaviors that people should start to develop or practice to keep themselves safe from catching this virus, or keep the chances of them catching this virus really low? And is there anything that you can do in something like, you know, Dr. Sebi kind of world, like eat this, don't eat this, you know, do this, do less of this, do more of that, outside of just pharmaceutical or going to the doctor or something like that? Just something in your everyday kind of common life that you think would keep people, if not virus resistant, at least virally distant from catching one. What do you think?
Mm, two segregations again. One, personal hygiene. Wash your fucking hands. Like, if you don't use soap is probably the biggest way to like destroy this virus, because hydrophilic and hydrophobic. Like you break the virus as soon as you wash your hands. So wash your hands. Number two, social distancing. And there's two types of social distancing. You have just staying away from people in general, staying at home, staying safe. That is one angle of it. But the other angle is also something that the government has to do, where they have to do some kind of like a target isolation kind of thing, where they identify hotspots and they sort of lock down these hotspots and make it aware to these people that they need to really need to stay at home. They can't really get out to get like even essentials, because this is a virus we're talking about. And this is really inhumane and really like stupid to ask of people to not get out of their homes. But this is the situation that we are in this super post-apocalyptic world. So there's only two chances. One is personal hygiene and social distancing. These are the only two ways to like, as a layman, to destroy this virus, so that it doesn't emerge again.
Right. So that seems more preventative, right? Right.
It is all preventative.
Right. No. But I'm saying it feels like it falls on the preventative side. Like that's something you can do if you don't have the virus and you try not to catch it. Right. Social distance, wash your hands, etc. Right. What can be done if you have the virus? Like you've tested positive, you have it. And then I want to piggyback that with how long does it last? Normally, how long does a virus stay in the body? But if you have it,
different viruses. Different viruses stay for different.
No, go ahead. Different viruses stay for different times.
Yeah, the coronavirus stays for basically the current gestation period of the coronavirus is 14 days, which means that does not mean that the coronavirus stays there for 14 days. It means that the possible exit of the virus, like if your immune system reacts, is 14 days. Like beyond that period, it cannot stay. So most difficult, that's a really difficult question, because like, there is no way to say that all of this virus is gone. If you just have one virus entering your body, it probably is going to die. But if you have 100 viruses, like, which is the case in a droplet, it's going to be a much worse case. Like, like it's going to affect different cells in your body, and it's going to be a much worse. So if you already have coronavirus, I wouldn't like to say this, but this is what most pharma companies out there are banking on, which is like to, take immune boosters and stuff like that. I totally don't.
You said don't take immune boosters.
No, I'm saying which is the only option is to take immune boosters at that point in time.
Right.
Although I'm not really for the pharma companies and the kind of bullshit that is going on right now. Like it's really like stupid. I think it's really siding the rich and the rich. But given the philosophy is putting the philosophy aside there, like, I think that's the only way. You can only wait. You can only stop smoking. You can only stop doing these things that really affect your respiratory system, like at this point in time. And it's for the governments to fund our healthcare systems, to like build our healthcare systems to make it better. These are the only few things that you can do. Otherwise, if you have coronavirus, stay at home, stay quarantined. Don't go out. Don't try to spread this virus to anyone else. Kind of shit that's happening in my country right now, which is really stupid. Shouldn't be happening out there. You should stay at home and make sure that you do this in the best interest of the human race, rather than selfishly yourself.
Can you speak to dormancy of a virus? Like, what does that mean?
Basically, if the virus doesn't exist in its form, but is integrated into your genetic code, right? And it's not really generating itself.
Wait, say
that is again. Crazy, right?
You just blew my mind. Like, say that again.
So if the virus takes its genetic code, which is its proviral DNA, and puts it into a part of your genetic code, that's what it does, right? It uses your body's, protein producing machinery to produce its own self. So if it puts its genetic code into your body and it remains there and it just shuts down, it just stalls there. That is the virus being dormant right there. Like,
wow, and that it could become active later.
Yeah, whenever the favorable conditions come, it can just like become active again, which is so crazy about the virus. which is amazing about the virus. Like, I'm a big appreciator of these viruses. Like, I think that
you seem like you got
insane.
coronavirus over there right now, hanging out with y'all, like y'all just chilling.
Nah, man, it's really dangerous and crazy here, but I really find it fascinating that these viruses have existed for so long. And even remember that today, like, AIDS does not have a vaccine. We only have precautions. And we're still alive. We're still here. We know what it is. The biggest problem in this case is lack of information. We as scientists I think it's time for us to agree that we don't know enough about this fucking virus. Like, there is not enough study. I think about 2 days ago, Nature, which is one of the biggest publications out there, released the crystal structure for this. They showed like how this looks and how it binds to the DNA and how it binds to the receptors and stuff like that. But even that got published by the Chinese researchers, which means that the Chinese people are at the frontiers of the science, of the economy, of everything.
So
crazy.
What is there anything that you can do when the virus is in its dormant state, or no?
No.
Prey
and the predator. I don't think there's anything you can do. Like, I mean, there are a few techniques which very ironically was HIV.
Right.
1 month before the coronavirus, there was human testing done by a dude, and he was hacked. He was sacked from the job for unethical, like, whatever. Like, you can't really do human testing in China. And there were about 8 babies or something who were he tried to treat them for HIV, and all of them died.
Wow.
Which was pretty inhumane, like, and very sad. But there are certain techniques, but they haven't really been funded yet. That is why I said that fundamental research has not been funded. Like, we've just been sitting and ignoring that shit and just funding shit that makes us money, which is really sad.
Listen, Smokey the Ghost. I mean, you go into the ranks of Mr. Legacy Jones. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the IG live and who Mr. Legacy Jones is, and Pistol Pixie. But you have become a staple person to the Lupe Fiasco IG live community. Everybody out there, please follow Smokey the Ghost, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Please follow.
Yes, this is Smokey.